Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or even good evening, wherever you are watching this from in the world. A very warm welcome to the early October live demo session that we're doing here at procurementsoftware.site today with our friends from CobbleStone Software. My name is James Meads. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am the founder of procurementsoftware.site. What we do is essentially we provide a free to use directory website and resource on all things digital procurement, which is completely free of charge for anyone on the buy side to access, enabling you to sort and filter and search on over 300 procurement software solutions that we have listed on the platform. And we have all sorts of different types of solutions on there. Covering all different sorts of categories, as well as different sorts of business sizes as well. So we not only feature enterprise software like some of the other research houses do, we also feature a lot of software that covers small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as the mid-market as well. Which obviously falls somewhere in between. And part of what we do in terms of showcasing software solutions partners and sponsors is doing these live demos, because if you're interested to see what you're looking for out there, and you don't want to commit to having a one-on-one demo with a sales rep from some of the software solutions providers, this is a great way to get acquainted with some of the software that's out there. And then in your own time, if you'd like to learn more, then of course we can do that. We will take the video of this recording and distribute it to everyone that clicked on the attend button as well. So if for whatever reason you have to hop out for a phone call, or if anything urgent comes into your email inbox halfway through and you need to drop off, then we can, of course, get this across to you as well. If you have any questions or comments, then just drop them in the comments tab below this live stream. If it's something relevant to the demo, we'll bring that up onto the screen, and I will ask Mike, who is joining me from CobbleStone, to take that question while he's going through the demo. Mike Cadier, hi, good morning, Mike. Mike's from Boston. He's the founder of Procurement Foundry, who are a pretty influential procurement community based out there in the States. So good morning, Mike. Great to have you on board watching this. So without any further ado, I will hand over to Michael Gormley, who is going to be walking you through the demo of what CobbleStone can do. Mike, very warm welcome, and over to you, sir. I'll hand the reins over to you to show everyone that's joining the demo.
Yeah, thank you, James. And yeah, thank you all for joining, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are at. So yeah, my name is Michael Gormley, and I am the sales manager here at CobbleStone Software. And basically during today's session, we're going to be walking through CobbleStone's award-winning contract lifecycle management software. So hopefully we can touch on some features and functionality that will allow your organization to streamline your internal reviews, approvals, and business processes associated with your contracts. But we can jump right into it. So I'll begin sharing my screen here. And you all should be seeing in just a moment, basically just a quick PowerPoint slide. James, can you confirm that we're able to view that?
Yeah, that should be up there now, Mike. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, I know we have about 25 minutes to go into this session, so I really would like to just quickly give everyone who's joining today's call just some very brief background about CobbleStone as an organization, and then we can jump right into the demo environment and walk through all of the features and functionality. But very quickly, just to give some brief background on CobbleStone Software. So CobbleStone has been in business since 1995. We were actually the very first providers of commercial off-the-shelf contract management software solutions. Basically, what that means is that we offer our users a very flexible solution that allows organizations to configure the system to meet their specific needs and requirements. Now, that includes a lot of features, most of them that we'll be touching on today, but that covers areas such as unlimited contract types, user-defined fields, document templates, task, workflow alerts, automated AI extraction, graphical reports, streamlined web editing, and much more. really without the need for any IT intervention. Now, the most common feedback that we do hear from our clients that did select CobbleStone is that our product is user-friendly and flexible. Hopefully, you all will get a quick taste of that during today's demonstration. I will be walking through CobbleStone's Contract Insight Enterprise solution, which is our full flagship product. Now, we do have typically more slides that we would go through on other sessions, but for the sake of today's session, we can jump right into the demo. But if at any point after today's call, anyone is interested, we can always provide additional information as needed. But the CobbleStone solution is just going to be a web-based system. So any of the users accessing the system, all they're going to need is just a modern-day web browser and an internet connection. So you can use your day-to-day Firefoxes, Google Chrome, Safari, IE, etc. Now, each user would be provided with their own unique login credentials. However, we do have multi-factor authentication tools as well as the ability to connect to SAML 2.0 compliant single sign-on providers. But ultimately, upon accessing the solution, it will log the user in and take them to their home screen, or what we like to call a dashboard within the system. Now, the solution offers quite a few configurable dashboard views. We'll kind of touch on a few standard ones that we have here. And the first example that we have is going to be examples of some of CobbleStone's graphical dashboards. Now, these graphical dashboards provide essentially an executive level summary of key information within your system. And this provides kind of real-time data analytics based upon the metadata that your users are inputting within your solution. So here for our year analysis option, we have a chart breaking down the contract counts by year, a gauge showing us some key financial values such as contract amount, total spend amount, and then an overview of additional financial values down below. But like I mentioned, all of this data can be updated in real time. So by default, we're seeing this information based off of every record that we're managing within our solution. But we can come in here and filter down some of these results. So let's say, hey, I don't want to see any contracts associated with our administration department. I can uncheck that, and we can see our information updates. Let's say same thing, hey, I don't want to include BAAs within this information. I can uncheck that, and our data fluctuates accordingly. Now, out of the box, we give you about 8 to 10 graphical dashboards, as you can see listed here. Another one that I quickly like to pull up, which is my personal favorite, is the system summary using date range. This basically just allows the user to specify the threshold that they want this data to be reflective of. So we can do it off of a single day, a week, a month, a quarter, or a year. Or we do have the ability to manually specify that threshold. So let's say, hey, I want to see all of our data based off of the year of 2020. We can come in here and update that. And again, we can see all of our data fluctuates in real time. Now, we also offer standard dashboards that are configurable to the user. So users do also have the ability to configure an unlimited number of user-defined dashboards based upon their role within the system. And this is going to be examples of some of those standard dashboards. This just allows for a little bit more interaction between the system and the user. We offer what we call button tiles that allow streamlined navigation of the system. Essentially, these are just going to be launch pads to redirect the user to another area within the solution. And then we do also offer summary tiles to provide high-level overviews based off of any of the reports that an organization is tracking in their system as well. So some examples I have on this view is a tile showing me the total contract amount of all pending requests, total count of contracts coming up for expiration, the average contract amount of all active contracts in my system, and so on. Now, at any time, these tiles are interactive. So if we say, hey, it's nice to know that I have 6 contracts that are about to expire, but I actually want to know which agreements they actually are, we can click on those tiles to drill down to the associated report to see any of the specific metadata information associated. Now, once a user is ready to add a new contract record within the system, we can go really one of 2 routes depending on how the contract is going to be initiated. So the one route we can walk through is as if we are going to be utilizing a standard template. So we would be working off of our own internal paper, but we also offer some automated AI tools if we are going to be initiating the record that's coming off of third-party or vendor paper. For the initial walkthrough for here, we'll go with the assumption that we're going to be working off of a standard template. So we can come up here to our hamburger menu and very simply just hit add contract. And the first thing the users are prompted to do is select the specific contract type they're looking to work with. Now, keep in mind, this entire list will be configurable to each one of our organizations, so clients will only be seeing contract types relevant to their organization's needs. But upon selecting the relevant contract type, it now prompts a user with a list of fields that they need to fill out in order to complete the creation of this record. Now, I'll streamline over most of these for the sake of time, but keep in mind all of these fields are configurable. So we do provide out-of-the-box fields so clients can start adding information upon day one of using the system. But all of these fields are configurable. So not only can our clients edit or delete any of the fields we provide out of the box, clients do also have the ability to create an unlimited amount of user-defined fields if there's any additional data points that they would be looking to track that we're not seeing here. So we'll quickly come through and start filling out some of the information. So a title associated with this, who is the counterparty or vendor that we're working with, and then what is going to be our internal department or business unit associated with this record as well. I do want to quickly touch on our out-of-the-box status field. This status field is going to be important because this is going to track where at in the contract lifecycle our agreement is at any given moment. Here, we're going to set that status initially to a status of request, but as we go through today's session, we'll see as I take action on certain workflow tasks in my system, this will automatically update with us along the way. And then again, we have some out-of-the-box values to track some key financial values related to this record, whether that be a budget amount or a contract amount. And then we have a key dates table to track key date alerts associated with this specific contract. The system will provide 3 out-of-the-box key date alerts. So permissioned users will get automated email alerts. They will get automated notification alerts within this top menu bar. And then they will get automated calendar alerts populating within their system whenever an expiration date is met, an expiration warning date has occurred, as well as this review date. Now, to fill these out, we can either simply just click this pop-up calendar and select the date if it's within a couple month range. But let's say that date's a little bit down the line. We also have the ability to type that in. So we'll say this agreement expires 2 years from today. The expiration warning date here will be auto-calculated based upon when your contract is set to expire and however many days prior to that expiration you would like to get notified. So here, my system is auto-defaulted to 60, but we can make this say, hey, I want to get an alert 30 days before expiration, 60, 90, 76, whatever's relevant for that specific record. And then this review date is just a third out-of-the-box alert that the system provides our users. Again, that's configurable. I've seen other organizations change that to reflect a renewal date or a cancellation date, just as some other examples. And then every record in the system will be created with an automated unique identifier. And then every click within the system will have an audit trail tracked down to it. So all the way down to what user took action, down to a date and timestamp. Now, once we have all of this relevant information populated, we can now hit save and continue, and the system will create our contract details page. All of this information is now saved. We can begin searching and reporting off of these values. But if I do scroll down here to our task, emails, and alerts table, task and workflows, this is where organizations can configure an unlimited amount of workflow or approval processes to push this agreement through the internal business chain. Now, all of these workflows are configurable to each organization, so you can define who the task is going to, what details we need to provide them to complete this task, and we can also even provide escalation. So if users don't take action within a certain time frame, we can escalate it out to another user to make sure nothing slips through the cracks. But
is that sorry, Mike? Is that configurable based on if you've got certain different thresholds or approval sequences for different types of spend based on risk or perhaps based on geography, if you've got certain jurisdictions that are more prone to fraud or corruption, is that configurable at that granular level as well?
Correct, it is. So those workflows are configurable all the way down to these individual field levels. So you can depend the workflow based off of maybe the type of agreement that you're working with, the department that user is, or like you said, James, certain monetary thresholds or maybe locations associated with that can define what workflow steps need to trigger based off of each organization's approvals. All right. Now we have, oh, I'm sorry, James, is there another question?
We've lost you, Michael. Just
oh, can you hear me now?
yeah, there we go.
Okay. And another thing that I wanted to add is really with all of the configuration options within the system. So creating or managing those workflows, creating or managing templates or fields or departments within the system. None of those configurations require an IT or a tech background. The system admins of our organizations that use our system are typically non-IT individuals. They're typical contract managers, procurement specialists, lawyers, paralegals, etc. So the individuals who are going to be administering and managing the system, again, configuring those workflows and making changes to it, don't require any IT background or coding knowledge. It's all done right within the user interface. Right. So if we jump down here, as we can see, if we jump down to our files and attachments table, the system automatically authored the document that we need to work with. So essentially with the workflow tool, what we can also set up is the ability for automated document authoring based upon those thresholds as well. So we can see, since I'm working with a consulting agreement contract type, the system automatically authors a consulting agreement template for me. So the user doesn't need to go in and select an appropriate template or decide, hey, what agreement or template do I need to work with? Based off of those rules, the system says, hey, you should be working with this specific document. Now, along with the system not only authoring that document with these templates, we can also have automated data be pulled in. So if you recall on the ad screen, we made this record effective of today's date, and we selected that counterparty with BLJ services. We can see, based on those metadata values we added on the input screen, that information is automatically populated in the appropriate area. Now, the CobbleStone solution does also offer a clause library where organizations can store an unlimited number of clauses or approved legal language. And within these document templates, users can also store clause placeholders as well. So whenever a new document is authored, the system can look at, for example, the reimbursement of expenses clause. It can look at the clause library and say, hey, this is the most up-to-date language that we utilize for this specific clause. And it automatically pulls in that most up-to-date language.
And does that apply also for if you've got a third-party document? Would your clause library then sort of flag that and say, hey, this is our preferred language, and give you the option to bring that in?
It would have that ability, and we'll actually be going through that third-party input option in just a couple minutes. So we'll actually table that and come right back to that.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Now, in this case, once a document is created, as far as like redlining these agreements, users within the system are going to have a few options. Option one is going to be what we have here, and that's making changes in the native Microsoft Word format. This will be the exact same if anyone was marking up an agreement while we were going through today's session. So we can come in here and delete language, insert new language, comments, etc. But let's say there is a situation where we're working off of vendor paper and we need to input some of our standard language, or we're working off of our paper and the vendor marked up one of our clauses and we want to reference any alternate or fallback language. We do offer complementary Microsoft Word plugins. So if you see up top here, I have a CobbleStone ribbon in my Word account. What this ribbon will give users access to, among many other tools, is one-click access to their team's clause library. So as we're working through negotiations, we can very easily and seamlessly update any additional language as needed. And then once we're done making changes to this document, we have the ability to simply just click this upload button, and we can upload that new version right back within the CobbleStone environment. Now, that's the one area where users can redline these agreements within Microsoft Word. The other option that the system offers is the CobbleStone tool does offer an inline web editor where users can make changes to these agreements right within the CobbleStone environment itself. So if we pop into that inline web editor view, the layout of this tool looks relatively similar to Microsoft Word. So again, we can delete language, insert new language, insert comments, and then we do still have quick and easy access to that CobbleStone clause library. So we'll say, hey, I need to input my termination for convenience language. Now, once we're done making changes with this inline tool, we can come back and again, simply just hit the save button, and we can see the system now automatically uploads that new version right back within our system. But as you can see, it will never delete or purge previous versions. So if you ever needed to revert back, or maybe your team's auditing your negotiations, you can see previous versions as well. And then the system does offer that full version control. Now, going back to James' questions, this process that we walked through was off of the assumption that we were the ones initiating this document. Let's say there is a situation where we need to work off of the vendor or third-party paper. Obviously, users can go through that manual ad screen and manually fill out the data and just do a drag and drop within this attachments table. But an additional tool that the system offers is we do offer a little drag and drop window up top. What that will allow users to do is take that third-party contract, whether it be a PDF or a Word doc, and we can push that through our Wisdom artificial intelligence tool. So we'll add that here. Now, what this Wisdom tool is going to do a few things. First, it's going to automatically OCR this document. So if it is a image-based or PDF, it's going to automatically OCR it to make it paged, indexed, and text searchable. Then once it's OCR'd, it's going to go through that document. First, it's going to look to extract any key metadata information. So previously, where we manually filled out the counterparty name or the department or the date values, what the Wisdom tool is going to do is look for that text within the document and automatically pre-populate those fields for the user. But it's then also going to go through and flag any clauses or legal language that was found within the document. And we'll show that in just a second. It does allow for quick side-by-side comparison to compare what language is found within the vendor's paper versus what your team typically utilizes in your clause library. So we can see here, once this loads up, we'll see an image of the document for quick reference on the left-hand side. And we have our list of fields on the right. But like I mentioned, this time I didn't need to fill out the counterparty, the department, the effective date or expiration date. All of those values were extracted from the document itself. And then if we scroll up here to our clauses tab, this is where that Wisdom tool is going to show us all of the key legal language that was found within this document. And it provides the users with a few options. Let's say there is a clause that your team is consistently finding within your third party or vendor paper. We can add that language to the Wisdom training data. So that tool does include machine learning. So the more you utilize it and the more data you upload to it, the smarter and stronger it gets. But we then also have the ability to add this language to our clause library. So let's say, hey, you know what? We're actually pretty fair with their assignment language that they recommended. We actually kind of think we want to start using that in the future. We can add that to our clause library to start utilizing in the future as well. And then we do have the ability to create a one-off task based around this clause as well. Maybe this is an outlier and we want to include additional resources outside of our standard workflow process as subject matter experts to review this. We can create one-off tasks to loop them into that approval process. But this will also be where if the Wisdom tool does find language within the document that is similar to language within our clause library, it does provide with that quick side-by-side comparison to say, okay, here's the language in their document, here's the language we typically utilize, just for quick reference to see, okay, how differentiating is our language.
And does it just search for text, or can it also search for other aspects of the contracts as well? I'm thinking specifically things like pricing tables. I mean, even though that would have text contained in there.
Correct. Yeah, the Wisdom tool can be configured to look through pricing tables as well. So it just really depends on what the client is looking to extract, essentially. So the Wisdom tool, while out of the box, provides a lot of functionality. Again, it can then be configured to meet specific clients' needs. Maybe one client wants to extract monetary values from pricing tables, or maybe another client's more focused on just like clauses or legal language. So we can continue to train that to be up to each client's standards.
Yeah, and in fairness, most of the stuff in the contract that's not in text form is going to be commercial or technical data, isn't it, rather than legal data? So yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And then the other thing that this Wisdom tool will do, so while it is going to extract key metadata for fields that are already within the system, as documents are uploaded, this Wisdom tool is going to track consistent data points that it constantly finds. Now, again, if you have a field for counterparty or department, it's going to extract it. But let's say maybe it's constantly finding key clauses for the ESG language, let's say. That's kind of new. Maybe your team up to this point hasn't really been worried about tracking that type of language, but now that is something you want to kind of focus and report on. This Wisdom tool, as you upload documents, will provide field recommendations. So basically, as you're uploading documents, when it's examining that data, it will provide recommendations for additional fields. Hey, I don't see that you're tracking a field to flag ESG language. We see that pretty often in the documents that you're uploading. It's going to recommend your team to say, hey, do you want to make that a field to start tracking from this point moving forward? And if you do go that route, say, hey, that's a good point, we should start tracking that data. If we do add that field recommendation, the system can then also go back and backlog any legacy contracts that had that language found within it. It can pre-populate based off of previous records.
Mike, can I just stop you there just for a second? I've had a question come in the comments. I'll bring it up on screen. This is from Yolanda. Can the tool search specifically for all web links? I think what she means by that is if there are embedded URLs in a contract document.
So the Wisdom tool can look for embedded URLs within the system if you want to train it to look for that. But for transparency, it's just going to look for that language. Like, it wouldn't be able to search within values within the web page that it's redirecting you to, but it can let you know that embedded web links were found within the document if you would like.
So it could run a report on all of the embedded URLs that are in there, but it wouldn't be able to search the website behind that link.
Correct. That would be correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
And then as well for this Wisdom tool, for this process, I did upload an initial Word document, but that Wisdom tool is compatible as well with PDF. So we work with a lot of clients where their vendors are just sending them PDF documents. This Wisdom tool is compatible with PDF as well. And we do also offer PDF to Word conversion tools. If your team says, hey, they send it to us in a PDF, we're more comfortable working in Word, the system does offer a conversion tool if you would like as well.
All right. Lawyers like to use Word, don't they?
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the preferred, but we all know that's not what we always get.
On the subject of lawyers, actually, before you jump on, this is obviously relating to vendor contracts, but the obvious question I would have is, would CobbleStone also work for sales contracts as well? If someone's looking at this with their more sort of whole enterprise hat on, would it work for sales contracts too?
It would be, yes. So the solution is very configurable. So we have clients that manage it for just buy side, just sell side. Maybe they utilize it enterprise wide and they have it for both areas. So absolutely, the system can be configured, again, depending on each organization's need to configure key data points, templates, train the Wisdom tool to look for a specific language that they would like.
Okay.
Any other questions around this Wisdom tool before we quickly jump into the searching capabilities?
There's nothing that's come in from the stream, so I think we can. Yeah, I guess we'll cover the signature process a little bit later and the authorization piece, so we can jump to that a little bit later because there was a question I had on that. But yeah, let's maybe tackle that once you've gone through this.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely jump back into the signature options as well. So quickly for the searching tools within the system, each user is going to have a few options. So there is a question, it looks like from Yolanda, that came in. If the vendor's PDF is password protected, can this tool still work? So that is a good question, Yolanda. I believe the Wisdom tool will still be able to examine, extract data if that vendor's PDF is locked down. That I don't believe a locked PDF should restrict any ability of the Wisdom tool to examine and extract key metadata. All right. Now, again, quickly jumping back to the searching. So the first searching tool is going to have our quick search bar, which is what we see up top. And this quick search bar will appear on the top of every page within the system. I personally refer to it as a Google search, or a lot of colleagues call it a wildcard search. I'll type in the word CobbleStone here. And what this quick search bar does is it searches through every piece of information within our system looking for that word or phrase. Now, this will search through not only all of the metadata within the system, so any of the data points we filled out, it will also look through any of the text found within the documents that were uploaded as well. So here we search for CobbleStone. We got 210 results. If we look at my sourcing column, this icon on the left is showing us that the value is found in the metadata. That means CobbleStone was found within one of the fields on this record. And then that piece of paper on the right is telling us the value is found within the text of one of the attachments. Now, if the word or phrase is found within one of the documents, we do also are provided with this additional column here that will provide the user with a brief synopsis or a snapshot of where within the document that word was found. But we can then filter through these results. So we'll say, hey, I actually was looking for a contract that had CobbleStone in the title. I'll filter this column to contains that language. And we go from 210 results to only 5 results. But we can continue to filter through this as many times as we would like. So let's say, hey, I also wanted a contract that was greater than or equal to 50K. And we can see here is that contract that we were looking for. But again, we can filter through these as many times as we would like. I can also then click this view button, and it will take us right to the contract details page associated with that record. Now, since we're back on this contract detail record, segueing back to James's question, if we come back down here to the files and attachments table. So within the system, once a document has gone through all of the approvals, it's gone through any internal approval and review, we've gone through the red lines and the negotiations and the back and forth with the vendor. We are now ready to send this out for signature. The tool does offer a few options. So CobbleStone does offer our own proprietary e-sign tool, which we call our CobbleStone IntelliSign. That also does offer an option for our digital signature tool as well. So anybody who's outside of the States and requires digital signatures, we can also include that with the CobbleStone IntelliSign. But we are also partners with DocuSign, Adobe Sign, and Sign Now as well. So if any of our clients currently already have a e-sign provider with one of those three, we can connect an active license with, again, DocuSign, Adobe Sign, or Sign Now to allow a streamlined connection or plug and play connector to any of those providers as well. Any immediate questions about those e-sign capabilities, whether from you, James, or from the chat at all?
I have a question that's kind of related, and that's around how does that link to an existing ERP system? If contracts, for example, then filter into pricing or T&C data that is relevant to how invoices get paid. I think SAP and Oracle being the major ERPs in the enterprise space, and then I guess NetSuite more in the mid-market. Could you maybe walk us through that?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, CobbleStone solution does offer open web service APIs. So we can essentially integrate with any third-party provider that allows for that API access. So ERP systems are definitely one of the more common integration points that we've seen. So like you said, your NetSuite, your SAPs, your Oracles. But basically, those integrations can be set up to either be a one-way street, ERP into CobbleStone into ERP, or we can make it a bilateral integration or a two-way street where basically the two solutions are communicating with one another. So as in an ERP, as a new vendor account is created or a new vendor profile is created within the ERP, that can automatically be pushed over into CobbleStone to create that record within CobbleStone. And then vice versa, as the contract record in CobbleStone goes through the approvals, the red lines, the signatures, once it's fully executed, we can then push any relevant contract data back over into the ERP to initiate maybe any PO approval processes that need to trigger. And then again, once that PO is created and payments are received and invoices are sent, that can also integrate with the CobbleStone environment as well. So again, both solutions are up to date with information.
I know it's probably dependent on what type of ERP system anyone's running and how bespoke the configuration is, but could you give us a rough idea of how big an IT consulting project that is? Is it fairly straightforward? Because I genuinely know nothing about implementing software, even though I run a media business that covers software. I don't do implementation personally.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as building the integration, there's going to be two routes. So since we offer complementary access to our REST APIs, our clients can take the lead on building out that integration on their perspective, really at no additional cost. Now, there's just going to be opportunity costs associated with that, having the resources and the bandwidth for them to lead that initiative. However, CobbleStone can offer professional integration services where we can build those integrations on behalf of our clients. Now, the actual building of the integration itself is, I'll say it from a non-IT person, relatively straightforward. It's not a time-intensive or very difficult project. Really, the most important thing leading up to building any of those integrations, whether it's with ERP, CRM, financial systems, is just scoping out the project or the scope of that integration, making sure we have the client's business process defined and ensuring we have all of the relevant fields mapped up as expected. Really, once all of that scoping is defined and we have that set up, the actual building of the integration from our perspective is pretty straightforward. We have our own middleware tool to streamline that process as much as possible. And I see there were a few questions that came through the chat. I'll go off of.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring those up, Mike? I know Brad, who's sat there behind the scenes, has answered in the comments, but let's just bring that first one up from Valerie. If you want to just briefly tackle that. I'm just conscious of the time as well. We've got about 9 minutes left in the session that we scheduled. It won't cut us off, but just in case anyone's got another meeting they need to jump to after this.
Perfect. Yep. So when sending via IntelliSign or DocuSign, so when it is coming through DocuSign, our tool isn't changing anything from the current DocuSign process. So that will still come from a DocuSign URL, as well as Adobe Sign, as that's how their tool works. Same thing with our IntelliSign tool. Your team can change the name as it appears, so you can have it say like ABC Procurement Team, XYZ Contract Team, but the actual URL that it is coming from will come from the CobbleStone IntelliSign URL address.
Okay, that's the first one, so I can hide that. And then let's bring up, there's another question from Yolanda. Prior to routing for signature, can a contract packet be assembled? So combining contracts plus other documents. Similar to when I've used DocuSign, I know you can do that in there. So I think that's where that's coming from.
Correct. Yep. So you do have a few options. You do have the ability to combine PDFs within the system. So if there are multiple documents that maybe we're getting approved individually and we now want to combine them all into one single package for signature, we do have the ability to combine those documents. And then the system does offer the ability for your team to create contract summary sheets as well. So that's pretty common for our clients. They want to have like a cover letter or a summary sheet to be sent out to their executive team for quick review before they sign off on anything. The system can also automatically author those summary sheets or summary packets if needed.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's move on and wrap up.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, definitely. And the only other thing I wanted to point out, so yeah, thank you all for kind of reviewing and sitting on today's session. This was really just a tip of the iceberg for what the solution offers. So we'll kind of be sending thank you emails for attending after today's call. But if at any point any of you would like to have your own maybe tailored demonstration, if you want to have a discovery call with a CobbleStone rep and have them conduct a tailored demonstration to your organization's needs, at any time you all can access our webpage here, and you can access a free demo, review our blog, but CobbleStone does offer free 30-day trial environment. So there were a lot of good questions. We kind of talked through a lot of high-level use cases, but if your team says, hey, we want to try our specific use case, we want to test if locked PDFs can still work in the Visnom tool, as Michael said, you can always access a free trial, 30-day trial environment for you to kick the tires around within a sample system as well. And
I'm cognizant that this is obviously in the public domain, and pricing is a very confidential matter, especially given the fact that in theory a competitor could watch this. But could you maybe just walk us through very high level? Do you work on a per license base or on an enterprise basis? And is there any limitation depending on the package in terms of number of contracts that can be uploaded or size of the documents?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So CobbleStone solution offers truly unlimited data storage. So unlimited fields within the system, unlimited workflows, templates, dashboards, reports, the ability to create an unlimited number of records, unlimited number of files, whether that's PDFs, Word docs, email threads, Excel spreadsheets, JPEGs, MP3, MP4, that's all unlimited. There's no limit on the size of a file that you're uploading as well. CobbleStone's kind of base pricing model is based around the user counts. Now, again, we offer quite a few pricing models. Our we have a lot of flexibility in our pricing models just to make sure each one of our clients is getting the best bang for their buck, essentially. So similar thing, if any of you is interested, since we can't go into too much detail in this public domain, if anyone is interested in learning more about our pricing options, you can always request to receive a quote within the CobbleStone webpage as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so if anyone is watching, your last chance, if you do have any questions or any comments, just drop them in, because we will be wrapping this up in the next couple of minutes. So last chance saloon, if you do have any questions. If not, then we will wrap this session up. Just to let you know, if you are interested in procurement technology in general, we have the website, obviously procurementsoftware.site, where you can filter and search based on what you're looking for in just a few mouse clicks. We also have a blog on there, and we have our, at the moment, twice weekly podcast called the Procure Tech Podcast, which we publish in series format, which we're currently publishing twice a week, but we'll be then going on a break from around about mid-November until the new year. But that is a back catalogue of different procurement software solutions that we've talked about, as well as industry experts, influencers, thought leaders in that space as well. So if digital procurement in general is something that you're keen to learn more on, we have quite a big back catalogue of content that will hopefully help you along the way. So I just saw that there's nothing come in other than, thank you, Yolanda, for the comment and great questions. There's nothing else come in, Mike. So thank you for a great presentation and walking us through what CobbleStone can do. And if you have any closing remarks before we sign off, then the floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, James, as well. And thank you all for joining in, whoever viewed. And definitely Yolanda and Valerie and everyone who submitted questions. Thank you all for your time. And hopefully, maybe I'll be speaking to some of you again when you reach out to CobbleStone for a tailored demonstration.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone, again for watching and joining us on this Wednesday morning or afternoon. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Take care, and see you again for the next one that we're doing in a couple of weeks' time, actually. More news on that very, very shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.